What we do is help create a practical system for sustainable wealth. You want to dive in, Desmond?
So you guys, with Tardus, right, we do three things very well. Of course, we all want more cash flow to do things like, go on vacations, pay our bills. So of course, we want to help you increase your standard of living, right? And it's all about using your extra cash flow to grow it and grow momentum in the cash flow so that you can do the things that you actually want to do. Of course, some people they want to come to Tardis because either they don't have a retirement plan, their retirement plan is too slow, or they're not going to reach retirement in this lifetime. So, of course, right, with a clear step-by-step plan and the help of our coaches, we show you step-by-step how to turbocharge your retirement. And on average, we see that our clients reach their financial goals in 5 to 10 years. Of course, some people go faster, some people take a little bit longer. And of course, today, especially post-pandemic, right? A lot of clients come to us, they have a lot of debt. So we really show you how to pay that off very quickly.
Yeah. And we are big on solving problems, right? There are no two strategies, no two relationships with any clients look the same. We are all about custom catering to help you get to where you're going to go. But in general, we do have three big problems that we're trying to solve. We have increasing debt as a nation. Household debt, national debt are at nearly the highest levels they have ever been. Okay. The falling value of the dollar, in case you haven't noticed, I've noticed our dollar doesn't spread quite as thinly as what it used to. And I don't see any reason why those trends are going to change. And people are living longer. Well, this is a good problem to have. It's challenging when you foresee outliving everything that you have worked so hard to set aside. We have people who come to us because they're in that situation. They've been retired for 10 years and they've realized they're going to outlive their funds. Great. Let's solve that. Right? You have options, right? Generally, what are the options? Work more. We can exchange more time for money to fill in that gap. Start a business. Again, very similar to working more, exchanging more time for money. And investing, as long as we have the right criteria.
All right, guys. So how does Tardis teach you to build cash flow? So of course, I want to keep this very high level, but when you come to Tardis, you need three things. Number one, you need a little bit of extra cash flow. So, that's after you get paid, you pay all of your bills, you have something left over. Some people they'll save it in the bank, some people will put it into their 401k, their IRA, whatever the case may be. But in this instance, we're going to use that cash flow in the income snowball. Number two, you need a vehicle to leverage with, right? And that vehicle could be a personal line of credit. It could be a home equity line of credit, cash value life insurance policy. I mean, you could even use a credit card, right? And we all know that credit cards have a high interest rate, but it could still work in our system. And finally, what I would say the last thing someone needs is to be coachable, right? Because really what we're trying to do is help you shift your mindset. And as we know, right, these little shifts in our mindset, it can really propel us forward in changing what we're doing to get different results. All right, so in this example, we're going to use $1,000. Let's just say at the end of the month, you have $1,000. Whatever your cash flow is at the end of the month, the income snowball calculator will say, okay, there's a perfect amount of leverage that you can use so that you'll never be over leveraged. So in this example, we're going to say that's $5,000, right? So again, we're going to use our leverage vehicle. Let's say it's the personal line of credit, and we're going to take the $5,000 from the leverage to invest it into fast burning fuel assets, something that we call fast burning fuel. And these are assets that pay you out principal and interest over a short period of time. It could be 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, but you'll get this income in principal and interest payments for that set period of time. All right. So the first time you do the investment, right? Let's just say that it pays you $60, right? What do we do with that? I mean, $160. I'm sorry. What do we do with the $160? We take the $160, we add it to our $1,000 in cash flow, And then we pay off the line of credit every single month. So it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months to pay it off. So 5 months later, you're zero balance on the line of credit. And what would you probably do next? You'll probably do it again, right? Rinse and repeat. So again, from this first investment, you still have the $160 coming in, but now we've stacked another $160 on top of that one, bringing our investment income up to 320. So that's the portion that keeps growing, and our cash flow commitment stays the same. So now we have more money. So of course, right, we can pay the line of credit off faster. So this time it takes us 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Again, rinse and repeat. We do it again. Now we were getting 480. We still got this money coming in, and now it's 1, 2, 3 months. And I'm oversimplifying this, you guys. There's a lot of things that you can do in between, but you continue to do this rinse and repeat process until you get to the point where you no longer put in your own cash flow. At this point in time, you're financially free because you can stop working. The income snowball is creating enough income to be self-sustaining, meaning you have enough to cover all of your living expenses plus a surplus. Guess what? That surplus is your new cash flow that's generated from the system. And you guys, this is how the income snowball has the potential to last forever. I don't know about you guys, but isn't that really exciting?
So seriously, if we consider this, right? If you have any concerns about where you are, right, looking at what AI is doing to jobs, the jobs that it's threatening, or creating more options for you and your family, if you have children, building a financial future. Looking at retirement, are you considering working, or excuse me, retiring within the next 10 years? Building that extra cash flow. Do you see how that would be helpful in helping to reach your priorities, what you've been working so hard for? We've been doing this for over 20 years, 22 years. We have grown as a company by referral only, right? Again, because of how technology is changing and shifting, we've been changing and shifting just as quickly to accommodate. Because of the heavy national debt, what that's doing to our economy, what that's doing to everybody's individual financial situations. And because financial literacy, it really is the right thing to do. There's a notable gap. We want to fill that gap. So we're getting louder, right? We want to solve these. We want to solve this for everybody, really. If you have a tight budget, to build a financial future, generate more money, whether it's your expenses, to help family, elderly parents. Retirement's just, they're not enough anymore. They're really not.
And trust me, you guys, when you get started with Tardus, you'll be so excited about what you're doing. You're going to want to tell all your friends and family about it.
So, right, Desmond and we have been clients for years. I'll speak for myself. I've been a client since 2017. Desmond, what about you?
I've been a client for 9 years now. And I actually became a wealth coach during the pandemic, right? That was actually my silver lining, you guys, because I mean, from day one, I got so excited about this. I was like, I want to just like, jump up on a hill and tell everybody about this. But, every time they were looking for coaches, I mean, it's high demand, right? The posting will be taken down the next day. And then finally, when I was furloughed from my job, I was like, I am going to apply for this job. So that's why I'm here with you. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, right? I mean, just think about it. I'm sure there's a lot of smart people on this call, and we all try to find that way, right? Like, how do we make passive income? And we do all the online research. There's those affiliate programs. You can answer surveys, do mailers. You could do blogs. I mean, nowadays, right, technology, right? You could become an influencer. I mean, it's just a labyrinth, right, of ways of creating passive income. And I've tried them all. Trust me, I tried them all. And even like, multi-level marketing. I mean, I lost a lot of friends that way. Tardus, thank God, is not a multi-level marketing kind of company. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I'm so glad that I actually found Tardus because all of that stuff, I mean, you have to work for it, right? So we're trading our time for money.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, I want to answer your question. Do either of us work now? We're both behind the scenes at Tardus. Um, Honestly, because of the mission. Because of my strategy, I was able to take my family abroad. We get to travel, we get to do a lot of really fantastic things that were not an option previously. And I'll give a little bit of context. I bought my first home when I was 18. I built my first investment property at 20. And yet, right, hitting my mid 30s when I came across Tardis, my timeline was still so far out there that I was looking for how do I solve this? What do I do now? And I came across Tardis. I met this wonderful woman with Tardis. Her name is Kathy. And she said, I have something to show you. Desmond said he could speak to going into this labyrinth of how do I fix this? But that's how I came to be behind the scenes after reaching my goals. It was a what else can I do to get the word out? What about you, Desmond?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is that I feel like this is an opportunity for me, right, to really share what I've been doing with Tardis. And I mean, it's really to help support Tanisha's vision, which is creating a wealth revolution. Because, I mean, when she started Tardis, you guys, she was already financially free. So she didn't need to start the company, but she really has a heart for people. And, coming into Tardis, I mean, that should speak volumes.
Yeah. Okay. And right, we hear this story often. I joined Tardis right before in this example here. She had lost $200,000 in an investment because the due diligence was not, she didn't have a good understanding of how to do it. So many of us are trying things, right? I was in that position of trying many things. Oh, what if I do this? What if I do this? Well, I never experienced any notable losses. I never had momentum to actually get to where I was trying to go. But we will walk you through due diligence and being able to do that.
And for me, guys, I mean, on the other side of the spectrum, I grew up in a single family household, right? So we never talked about expenses or investing or, even like budgets. And what's interesting is that my mom, she was doing TARDIS, and I was like, "What is this TARDIS thing?" And she was very elusive with me. And when before I started, I was younger, right? I was in my party days and just being wild, and I started to see things that I never saw happen with her before. For example, when I saw her buy her first new car, because she always bought used cars, that's when my eyebrow first raised, right? I was like, "Oh." But when I saw her, I know, and then really what stuck with me was because she always had two or three jobs, right? And when she quit her main job, her full-time job that she was with for 20 years, I was like, wow, something is working. And, luckily I live in Hawaii, so I had the pleasure to meet Tanisha in person. And from that day on, I mean, yeah, the things that I've learned, I've never thought I would be able to be doing the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so what is our process? We really have a simple three-step process. We walk our clients through how redefining, understanding where you are, what it takes to hit your goals, and building the roadmap to get there. Next, creating cash flow, right? We have a roadmap. How do we now create cash flow? That's step two. Step three, do what I did. I was given a 20-year timeline. Within the first couple of years, I shrunk that down by many years and then again shrunk it again and hit those goals. Because once you have an understanding of how all of this works, you can continue to assess each financial decision that you're making. And usually, we see most people end up accelerating their results. Do you want to get this one, Desmond?
Okay, so our promise to you really lies in the foundation that Tanisha built over this past 22 years. I mean, think about it, right? We've been around for 22 years. Do the due diligence on Tardis, you guys. We preach that, so right, put that into practice. You'll see, even after all this time, we still have the A plus Better Business Bureau accreditation. But it's really about the income snowball system, right? That's what Tanisha has the patent on, and she realized very early on that you can give anybody a system or a plan, but are they going to necessarily follow that plan? Not necessarily true. So early on, she realized that there had to be a coaching, one-on-one to keep you on track. When you come to Tardis, this isn't a cookie cutter, one size fits all kind of deal. We actually create a plan tailored to you. And you'll see over time, within 30 to 45 days, you guys, you'll see passive income coming in. And remember now, we're educators and coaches, so we never touch your money, right? This grows over time. And that's actually your safety net of passive income. If you have, emergencies, you have to take the dog to the vet, your kids need braces, right? We can show you how to use that income that you're creating. And again, right, this does take some discipline, and we're here to hold your hand along the way, step by step, and eventually you're going to achieve financial freedom.
Yeah. And be able to enjoy it in the meantime, right?
Exactly.
Desmond mentioned some of those necessities. Is it braces? Might it be car repairs? Might it be a nice family vacation? We know somebody who just sponsored her six children and their families, brought them all to a resort, rental cars, rental homes with her snowball. She would never have been, I'll share her story. She would have never been able to do that if she didn't have a snowball to be able to provide for her family in that way, that experience. So find out what's possible for you. This QR code takes you to a link to schedule with a wealth coach, and they'll take you through that three-step process, right? Let's build that roadmap. Let's understand where you are, what it takes to get you to where you're trying to get to, so that we can help you get there, to have a plan. I saw a bunch of questions. So let's see. Do we do family discounts? No, we don't do family discounts. Um, Chris, we do have many people who come on. I will speak from experience. I have two sisters who are clients. I have my parents joined as clients shortly thereafter that I did. It is worth every step of the journey to understand how to get to where you're trying to get to. It is not
So,
something we are taught in school. You are absolutely right.
sorry, I just kind of want to like chime in on the family discount thing. Just quick story about me and my spouse, right? I told them all about TARDIS, right? They were waiting a few years, and I could have easily had them come on my plan, but I was like, I really want you to experience everything, and they paid, full price for the program. And my colleagues were, why did you do that, right? Like, why don't you just let him jump on? But now he tells me that he's so thankful that I did that because he saw the value, right? So sometimes if somebody doesn't see the value of something, it might not stick. So, that's all I have to say about that.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Okay, I see. And you got an applause. I love it.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's see, Jeff, due diligence on what exactly? Okay, so the roadmap that we build, you're purchasing assets within your roadmap. You have to understand what you're investing in, why, what works for everybody is a little bit different because of the criteria that you're looking for. A 25-year-old investor has many different things to keep in mind than somebody who's 70. And so your client success coach walks you through the due diligence that you need. What meets your criteria? What's risky to you and why? And how to understand that, how to find that information, and how to apply that. And that's important, as we saw from Cynthia, right? The value of having those steps. Not only do they help you expedite, but they also help prevent massive setbacks. Let's see, what is another one? Can someone be a coach if they're not a participant, but family members are? They've been very helpful in guiding, but they're retired and in finance. So the question, correct me if I'm misinterpreting this. The question is, can somebody apply to be a wealth coach? So if that's the question, yes, anybody can apply to become a wealth coach. If there's more to your question beyond that, would you please put that in the chat or in the Q&A? Let me see some others. Abbas, where the passive income comes from after you don't need to. It can, yeah. Okay. Do you want to respond to that, Desmond? Did you see that in the Q&A?
Where the passive income comes from after you don't need to make monthly payment. Okay, so I'm not completely clear on what the question is asking, but if you're asking about what types of investments, where the passive income is coming from, I mean, it could come from practically anywhere. Most investments will work in the income snowball, right? And we do classify certain investments in two ways: as a fast burning fuel asset, like the one I used in the example, and slow burning fuel assets, things like real estate, right? The big difference, you guys, is that with a fast burning fuel asset, it doesn't take as much capital, but the returns are a lot greater because remember, you're only getting the principal and interest payments for a short period of time. Thus the name fast burning fuel, where things like a rental property, a turnkey rental property, I mean, you might put $50,000 down or $100,000 down, and your cash flow might only be $300. But the big difference is that this income has the potential to last forever, or how long you have the rental property, right? So I just kind of want to just back up on that, you guys, because I always tell people that nobody should come to Tardus just to figure out what types of investments that we do, because it's not a secret. I mean, you can open up your Google browser right now and put in passive income investments, right? Cash flowing investments, and you'll find that there are a lot of them out there. People really should come to Tardus because of the coaching and education, and of course the income snowball. Because I mean, if you think about it, an example would be peer-to-peer promissory notes, right? If you just went out and did peer-to-peer promissory notes like a regular investor, we like to call that simple investing. Let's say that the investment pays you 10%. All you're ever going to get is 10% because that's what the investment pays. But really, with the income snowball system, because we show you how to use leverage, right? The bank's money, other people's money to create income upfront, right? And we keep stacking and stacking this. That's why your cash and cash return is always going to be greater. But of course, the main reason this is a cash flow strategy that we're investing is because we want the cash flow. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay, Sandy asked, details of the program and the service. What is this exactly? Okay, if I were to summarize it in a nutshell, we are an education company. We will put together a roadmap for you to get from where you are to your goals. We provide the map and the education, the understanding, and potentially connections to investments to get you there. It's all inclusive. Does that answer your question, Sandy? And maybe Desmond has another summary.
I mean, in a nutshell, right? You guys, like Tanya said, we're educators, we're coaches, right? We use the income snowball as a tool that generates your step-by-step plan. But really, like I said, anybody can be given a step-by-step plan. Are they going to follow it? Not necessarily true. I mean, there's actually a book that Tanisha loves to refer to. It's by Brian Clemmer, and it's called If How-Tos Were Enough, Everyone Would Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy. So we definitely hold your hand along the way, making sure that you're hitting your milestones, and we can use the income snowball calculator to make sure that we're on track. Right. So, I mean, especially you are working with a team of coaches, you know, between your coaches, we're not going to let you fall by the wayside.
Yeah. Okay, Aditi, how is Tardus priced? We have an all-inclusive fee that covers everything for 1 year, $5,995. That's everything for year one. And then from there, clients move into a monthly membership. Let's see, Anthony Thompson from Texas. We're doing legacy. Okay. Wanted to know about a new opportunity called arrived.com. I have not heard of that one. I honestly, I can't speak to that. I have not heard of arrived.com through dividends and appreciation. Let's see. What due diligence items does Tardus teach, which are not typically taught by typical due diligence? I would say one of the many things that sets us aside, and I don't have a first name, the spectator, that sets us aside is that it's personalized. It's for where you are in your journey. It's for where you are as an investor, whether you're a beginner investor, whether you have $10 million you've already been investing. That's what sets our due diligence aside, is understanding the investments you currently have, what are risk factors there, what can you do to mitigate them, how to restructure things if there's risk factors, or how to build that foundation from the very beginning and what it has to look like to get to where you're working to get to. And avoid the detours to the greatest degree possible along the way to expedite your path. Daniel, what are the investments included in the program? And do the coaches? Yes, your coach will absolutely. You have two coaches. They both help you do your due diligence on them. There are no, so to speak, investments included. As Desmond was saying, we are an education company. Do we have places that clients have worked with successfully? Absolutely, we do. And we can provide you with information to do that. But at the crux of it, we help you build your map. We help you understand what tools, what vessels you need to reach those goals. Does
Yeah, and I
that
think I'll add on to
answer,
that
Daniel?
too.
Okay.
I mean, there's Tardis is so big, right? That there's a lot of companies that come to Tardis and, knock on Tanisha's door. But, we're not going to just work with anybody. And even though Tardis, we work with certain vendors, we always tell our clients, just because we say to do it, don't, we're not telling you to do anything. We have no relationship with any investment platform, right? Do your due diligence. And, one of our coaches, Reed, he has an extensive course in your client portal when you become a member that walks you through different types of asset classes, the due diligence behind all of that.
Yeah. Ivy, is this program open to only US citizens? Absolutely not. We have clients on all continents, to my knowledge. Maybe we have clients in Africa, but we do have clients on all other continents, excluding Antarctica. So yes, it's open. Again, it's understanding the system and the tools that get you there. Assume buying the assets, Abbas, a follow-up question. I assume buying the assets continue forever. What's interesting is that when you're getting close to financial freedom, we walk you through what you call an exit strategy, right? What does your exit strategy look like? Do you love these kinds of assets? Have you dabbled in others? What is it? How is the proper structuring for this to be protected, for you to continue it forever? And your coaches walk you through how to do that step by step so you do have a forever strategy. Whether this is what we call fast burning fuel investments, whether this transitions into slow burning fuel investments, or you continue with a combination of the two, you will be provided with an exit strategy that meets your criteria. Victor, best way to get a personal line of credit. Is this a prerequisite? Not necessarily. Can traditional personal loans use to get started? A personal loan is definitely a different structuring than a line of credit. A personal line of credit, home equity line of credit, cash value life insurance, there are many vessels that work as a form of leverage. Several people can even margin an existing investment account that will allow you to get started. We do have clients that start with savings, and then their coaches work with them in the first few months to get a line of credit so they can create that momentum to move forward. Desmond, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely, Victor. One of the places that most of our clients find success with the personal line of credit is your local credit union, right? We typically don't like working with personal loans because when you think about it, over time, right, you guys, your investment size will grow. So you want to start building that relationship with your bank, and they'll see how fast you're paying this off, right? In a matter of months, it raises your credit score over time. It'll fluctuate, but it'll always have an upward trajectory that when it's time to ask for an increase, they won't have a problem giving it to you. So, yeah, that's all I have to add on that one.
Yeah. Ah, understanding what happens when you reach your goal. However your strategy is structured, you have a self-sustaining strategy indefinitely. That's the objective. That's what reaching your goal means. Assuming that goal is financial freedom, your strategy is covering all of your expected and unexpected living expenses. Let's see. Ask our coach on the next meeting. Okay. We have some other ones in here. No additional cost tequila outside of the $59.95. It is an all-inclusive fee for your time with your coaches, understanding your tools, building your strategy, creating your passive income. We can sometimes, Bruce, we can sometimes work with somebody who is already retired. If you have assets you can reallocate to create cash flow, we have to do that relatively often. Like people who have already been retired for 10 years and they find out they're going to outlive what they've set aside. We'll look at ways, our wealth coaches are very creative to find cash flow that maybe you didn't know existed that we could free up from other sources or restructuring assets if need be to create cash flow to build the momentum that your strategy will need.
Yeah, I've actually worked with a few people who were either almost at retirement, didn't have enough, or were already retired and they wanted more, right? So, like Tanya said, it's a personalized approach, right? So, really, the most important thing is to talk to one of our wealth coaches and they'll walk you through that process.
Yeah, I want to, Michael, you asked and Cynthia kind of responded, what does investment agnostic mean? Yes, Cynthia said, we don't receive any kickbacks. It's true. This is what sets us aside from one of the many things from being financial advisors. We have no connection to your investments in the sense that we don't receive any commissions, the company, nor any coach as an individual will receive any commissions, kickbacks in any way, shape, or form on the investments that you make. What does this mean? This means that we can always look at that from a perspective of what's going to work in your best interest and how are you going to do about it and go about it. So that's what investment agnostic means. We don't have any preconceived notions aside from helping you get to your goals.
And that's how Tardis really we stay neutral, right? We're not going to favor one type of investment or strategy over another. It's really what's going to work for your plan.
Let's see, Daniel, do we have statistics on numbers of clients? We have, well, we've worked with over 8,000 clients, working to get them through to a place of being financially free. Time investing, you might spend a couple hours a month. Again, we're going for passive income. Could you spend more than a couple of hours a month, right? With your strategy? Absolutely. We have group coaching 6 a week that you could attend. So you can spend innumerable hours, but you could limit it to a couple of hours a month to really be able to reach your goals. Percentage on gains in their portfolios. Okay, so we're looking at a return on investment, which is very different than we're comparing apples to oranges. They're very different vessels because we're not building for accumulation. We are building for cash flow. And so building from accumulation means that we're trying to get to a certain level to let it cycle, and then we slowly pull from it and hope we never have to run out. We're building a very different system. Daniel, I would really recommend, if you meet with a wealth coach, to have them show you. They'll show you your exact strategy, how it works, how investing for cash flow is different than investing for accumulation, and how under the return on investment is, it's not necessarily applicable here because it's structured so differently. What would you add to that, Desmond?
Right. And what we really look at too, right, is the cash on cash return with the investments. I mean, in short, you guys, you're able to purchase more investments than you typically could if you just were saving, like in my example, right, like $1,000 a month because we're using leverage. So, I mean, that in itself is very powerful. And a lot of times people get stuck in the first year. It's like, okay, if I'm doing $5,000 investments with my $1,000 in cash flow, it's almost like I'm using my own $5,000. But as keep stacking these investment, each time it gets faster and faster. Eventually, the income snowball calculator will say, okay, from $5,000, now it's time to do maybe $10,000, for example. Rinse and repeat. It gets faster and faster and faster. Each time you pay down your line of credit, you'll be leveraging 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, right? I mean, it could go as high as, your plan dictates. But just imagine that, you guys, when you're at that point, let's say somewhere in the middle where you're able to leverage $50,000 just using $1,000 of your cash flow, and you pay that leverage off in 5 months so that you can do three $50,000 investments in 1 year. Of course, the cash on cash return is going to be astronomically higher because you did $150,000 in investments and you used $12,000 of your own money. So I
Yeah,
hope that puts it into perspective.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, Victor. Uh, Current credit union doesn't have a personal line of credit. A wealth coach can also offer you local resources as well as nationwide resources on where to look for a line of credit. If you've worked with a wealth coach, ask them. They will provide you with some resources of surefire places that clients have gone to get lines of credit. That's an option too, Victor. Um, Bhishma, the $59.95 is for the first year. After that, we have 4 different membership levels for clients. They go from $199 a month to our invitation VIP program, and there's 4 levels. So that's what the beginning of year 2 looks like. The $59.95 covers everything for year 1. John Barash. Hey, yeah, good description. Thanks, John. 595 the first year. Michael, 5,995 is the first year. Yes, okay. Let me see. Do you see any questions in there that I'm missing?
Let's see.
Nancy, what happens if we don't get any loans from a bank? Then what happens? Sorry, Nancy, are you referring to, I see you're commenting at Jan. Sorry, I said John. Jan. Um, If you don't get any loans from the bank, are you referring to the line of credit? Could you clarify? Okay. Sean. All right, what are the levels we have? It's called Tardus University. We have a level called MoneyWise Pro. We have a VIP program and a VIP alumni. Yes, lines of credit. If you can't get a line of credit, right, you can work out of savings for a while. The line of credit will in time allow you momentum to get there more quickly. But if you don't have savings and you don't have a line of credit, I would still encourage you to work with a wealth coach because they'll walk you through the criteria to get you to that next step. What does it take from where you are to where you're trying to get to? How do we get to that next step? So it is an option. They'll work with you on a plan to get to there. In addition, provide you with resources. We have a cash flow class, a free monthly class with our client success coach, Joe. who does that exact same thing. So your wealth coaches have a couple of resources they can share with you to get you to the next step if a line of credit is not an option and you don't have savings or other cash flow you can allocate. Yep, and there are due diligence videos. Okay. As Desmond and I have to jump off for another meeting. Let's see, Wendy, once it reaches perpetuity, what does it look like? A beautiful future. Monthly cash flow varies by person. What does the removal of funds to live off in early retirement look like? How does it continue functioning? Yeah, Desmond, do you want to dig in on this one?
So again, at financial freedom, you guys, unlike like a 401k where you're living off 4% or 5% without running out of money, right, for the rest of your life, what this is a cash flow strategy. So like I said, right, when you reach financial freedom, you don't have just enough money just to survive, right? You're actually creating a surplus. And then this is just an example, right? But like, I mean, you might be your expenses might be $5,000, but you might be creating, I don't know, $40,000 in cash flow, right? So that spread is what you'll use to continue your income snowball. Now, you don't have to get into slow burning fuel if you don't want to. Like again, we walk you through what your end game process is. Some people they love to keep investing in fast burning fuel, right? So you'll use that spread to continue investing with your line of credit or your leverage vehicle. And again, this is how the income snowball can last forever and it will continue to grow and grow over time. I mean, this could be your legacy planning as well.
Yeah. And Bhishma, I see your other comment that it's kind of vague. Yes, every strategy really is created for each individual. That's why you have two coaches. They work through upholding it to the highest standard possible. So working with coaches, right, they will understand your cash flow. Each one is going to vary. It varies person to person, right? What you have to work with, where you're trying to get to also obviously makes a big difference. So trying to be really specific here, that slide that we showed you on how it works is the concept. It's really that simple. So being able to apply it to your personal situation is is where, that's where all the goods lie of being able to understand how it actually works for you. So we can talk, vaguely about, well, if you have $1,000 a month in cash flow, these are the steps you're going to take, and understanding how to actually bring that to fruition. If you haven't, Bhishma, a wealth coach can walk you through exactly what it looks like for you, for where you're coming from, where you're getting to. Let's see, did we miss any?
And I would just like to remind people, right? If you go to YouTube, Tardus, we do have our YouTube channel, Tardus Wealth, where you can look at the income snowball. You can look at testimonials from our clients. And there's a lot of information in there. So definitely log on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tally, oh, sorry, Abbas, which question? We've got a lot of questions here. We missed a couple of your questions. Are the first year fee and subsequent, typically they are. Are they tax deductible? Teresa asked that. Yes. Visit with your accountant. Typically you can deduct them. Abbas, what is the asset at the time of reaching the goal and where has it come from? Okay, well, it depends on what your goal is. If that's the question that you thought I was ignoring, what is the asset? It depends, right? Slow burning fuel would be long-term assets. Real estate could be a slow burning fuel. That's one that translates well. Is it required? Absolutely not. Fast burning fuel, these are the short-term amortized assets that Desmond was describing earlier. There's literally thousands of options available. So creating those options that work best for you. What is
Oh,
the asset? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Desmond.
No. You can finish that thought. I was just gonna speak to real quick about somebody asking about debt.
Oh, okay. What is the asset at the time of reaching your goal? Well, it depends on what your goal is. We have clients who retire on $2,000 a month, and we have clients that retire on $30,000 a month. So obviously there's a large expense there, and what it takes to hit both of those markers and what you're fueling your strategy with and what happens in between are notable variables. So I can't speak to exactly where you are, Avis, but if there's another question I missed, drop it in there again.
And then there's one from I hope I'm not going to butcher your name, Kumesia. You said if you have 30K in debt, how much do you need to pay down before you sign up with Tardus? You don't have to pay anything down, before joining Tardus. And actually, we can set up a plan for you if one of your goals is to pay down that debt, right? We can actually do two things simultaneously. I mean, when I came to Tardus, I had like over 100,000, maybe $150,000 in debt, right? And I had a plan my coach put together for me to make me debt free and create passive income at the same time. So don't wait. Use the
Yes,
QR code, find out what's possible.
yes. Do we work with accredited investors? We absolutely do. Do you have to be accredited? You absolutely do not. We work with investors that have $500 a month in cash flow to, again, $30,000 a month or more. Um, which is what the beauty of our system is. I've never seen anything else. I did not stop looking for the best solution when I found Tardus back in 2017. I haven't stopped looking, and yet I still have yet to come across something that provides people with the opportunities of what they can do with their strategy for everyday people, for lower income, for high net worth people. This is applicable to the vast majority of individuals right where they are to get them to the next level.
Yeah, we have people coming to Tardis
Enthusiast,
doing all
yeah,
these other types of things, right? So never think about it that it has to be Tardis in your income snowball or something else, because to really make what you're doing more efficient, right, it's really about creating systems within a system,
yeah. Yeah, we don't overwrite other systems, but we can help you expedite the systems you're currently
right?
using. Let's see. Richard asked, what's the commission for an affiliate on the 59.95? Um, for the commission, so none of your coaches, nor does Tardus as a company take any commissions. If that's what you're asking, we did define earlier, we are investment agnostic. We are not attached to your investments in that way that you would think of with a financial advisor, which also provides that we're not limited to the types of investments that we can walk you through. We don't represent those investments. And so none of your coaches are going to take any kind of commission on what you're doing, Richard. Yes, Camelia. All you need to do is come up with the 6K to sign up or find out how it can be structured into your strategy. How long does it take to pay off 6 figures of student loan debt? Marion, I really would. I'd have a wealth coach walk you through it. They will show you exactly what it looks like. Um, because paying off 6 figures in student loan debts, we do it often. We will outpace a debt snowball. And the beauty of it is that when you pay that debt off, you'll already have thousands a month potentially in passive income. So not only have you expedited paying off debt, but you will also already be 10 steps ahead because you've already created additional income to keep moving forward. Let's see.
Alexis was asking something along the same lines, right? When you join with debt, can you start building cash flow with debt? Yes, absolutely. We show you how to do both at the same time.
Yeah. And what better time to do it when you actually will be able to expedite that debt payoff? Okay, Abbas, can you assume a scenario at the time of reaching the goal and discuss the elements, assets, expenses, At the time of reaching the goal, you've contributed a lot of money. Where is it? Well, let's see. Assume a scenario. That's very hard to do. Sorry, you get the real Desmond and I here.
Right,
Assume a
right.
scenario. Um, assets and expenses. I I working with a wealth coach, they can walk you through more than merely hypotheticals. Exactly what that looks like, right? If we're talking $5,000 a month in covering $5,000 a month in expenses with $1,000 a month in cash flow, or $10,000 a month, right? What exactly those look like? Do you currently have assets? Do those assets perform? Are you relying on them? How are you using them? Is there additional opportunities there for you? I really wish I could be more specific, but outside of offering you something very, very generic, it's hard to speak to exactly where you are. We can, right, that slide that we talked about, that was looking at roughly $1,000 a month in cash flow.
I mean, on a high level, if you think about it, right, and if we really want to compare this to the traditional accumulation method, let's just say that in this scenario, right, you did get to that goal in 10 years and you contributed $1,000 a month for 10 years, right? So if I bust out my calculator, right, $1,000 times 12 times 10 years, I mean, in 10 years of our own money, we contributed $120,000 to create $5,000 for the rest of our life. Now, if we were to do this in a 401k, IRA, traditional retirement account, I'm going to use the 5% rule. And basically, to find out how much money we would have to accumulate for that $5,000, we take the $5,000, multiply it by 12, and then divide it by 0.05. So in this instance, we would need to have accumulated 1.2 million dollars to achieve the same result of the $5,000 a month. So 120,000 or 1.2 mil, right? It kind of puts it into perspective.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, great question. I know I did not see it. I apologize. Um, yeah, what are the risks with signing up with Tardus, and what attributes make one successful with this program? What makes somebody successful? Somebody who's looking to learn to better their situation and has a little bit of cash flow. That's what makes somebody successful. Desmond, what would you add to that criteria?
Definitely what I would add is that they're coachable, right? And they're open to shifting their mindsets because if we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, we all know what that is.
Yeah. And Cynthia, yes, somebody who will show up, who will follow your
Exactly.
system and show up for your appointments. Those are integral. Um, what risks are there? You know, I have, as I shared, I'm not sure if you've been on the whole time, Mark. I've been an investor since I was 18 on my investing on my own funds. And what are the risks? I had far greater risks before I became a client of Tardus. Now I understand what those risks are because I have the financial education to back it. Before I was going on, financial education that was offered as well as inherited, right, through family and whatnot. Um, the risks, I'm not sure. I honestly, I'm trying to think of what would be a risk of signing up. A risk you don't follow your strategy.
Right.
That would be the ultimate risk, is signing up for Tardis and not following your strategy. But the beauty of having coaches is that we're used to navigating, we're all real people, right? We navigate the pivots of life on a daily, monthly basis. And you have coaches who are walking you through what that looks like, how to minimize that. Because we know pivots happen, major life things happen, expected and unexpected. And you'll have somebody advocating for you to say, okay, have you considered doing this? Okay, what about this? These are options, right? Especially when you're kind of throwing a wrench in life. You have somebody who's walking you through that's not emotionally invested, that can just take a clear, simple look at where you are financially and say, have you considered this? Because you'll mitigate your loss over here, or you'll be able to expedite this over here as you navigate challenging or really wonderful situations in life. Do we work with individuals who have spendthrift trust? Yes, we do. Yeah, I tried to respond to this earlier. I'm not familiar with a firm.
Yeah, I don't think we are affiliated with a firm, and it's basically, you get to pay on a monthly basis. So unless they have something on their site where it's not connected to Tardus, but you can borrow from it, I mean, then by all means you could use it.
Yeah. It appears Tardus is an international and educational program with a significant dose of accountability. Absolutely, as well as, right, you tapped on that educational. And we build roadmaps. Here's what needs to happen for you to reach your goals, which is an important part of what we do. Yeah. Okay, last one, Michael. 59.95 upfront for the first year. Is there a better pricing model? Your wealth coach can walk you through exactly how to roll that into your strategy, so your strategy covers it. That's a regular thing that we do as wealth coaches. Ishma, you have a financial advisor. Do you expect him or her to be supportive, receptive to this kind of strategy? Alexa's similar to a payment plan. Yeah, they could wrap it in there, similar to understanding how that would work, what steps need to happen for that to be a possibility. Are they supportive and receptive? It really depends. It's an individual financial advisor. What is their mindset? Are they advocates for your success? And we're happy to have your financial advisor on the meetings, so we can walk through with 100% transparency what that looks like for you to work with us at Tardus. Cynthia, financial advisor doesn't care. They're more interested in our 401k, probably because that's what they're getting a commission on.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We are going to jump off. Thank you, everybody, for coming. For those who have stayed this long. Yeah, my pleasure, Mark. Thanks for coming today.
Mahalo.
Bye.